जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल राम संकीर्तन की जय प्रभुपाद की जय सामवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय Let us welcome this Sundaranand Prabhu with a loud Haribol, Haribol! We will begin with Mangalacham prayers and get into the session. Hare Krishna. Sundaranand Prabhu needs no introduction. So while Prabhu is coming and settling down, I'll briefly mention. Today we had a meeting where we were discussing Krishna consciousness and how to spread Krishna consciousness more and more. And we were seeing everyone was presenting what they are doing. And one thing that was constant was Sundaranand Prabhu was in many people's presentations and pictures. Everybody was, and Prabhu had something or the other to do there. So here he did the ribbon cutting and gave us the big push many years ago, almost 2.5 years ago, and somehow or the other, even without the engine, somehow train is going. Someone called broken engine. Someone called Prabhu, he is a traveling Narada. He goes everywhere empowering people, inspiring people, of course. Prabhuji doesn't have the other quality of Narada Muni, which is to spice up things, he does something. But Prabhu is a very sattvic version of Narada Muni. So without any further ado, let us welcome Sundaranand Prabhu by loudly chanting Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.
अंदर के लक्ष्मण
So we'll recite the Mangalacham prayers. Do we have Bhagavad Gita for everybody or just projector? So we'll recite the Mangalacham prayers together. This is of course to offer our respects to all the previous acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, because they have painstakingly actually, kept this knowledge intact so that it benefits the whole humanity. The acharyas have actually, passed this information from one generation to another in the form of guru and disciple relationship. And then they have kept the message of the Bhagavad Gita and the message of the Vedic literatures intact, so that people can actually get truly benefited from it. And that's one of the, if you look at Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is, can you get the Bhagavad Gita, just one book? No. So if you look at, it's called as Bhagavad Gita as it is. The reason why it's so the reason why it's called as it is because Prabhupada has not introduced his own interpretations. He has not introduced his own concoctions or ideas. Generally people have the tendency, in fact the word Muni means, you need to have a different idea, from people who have presented it before. That is the meaning of the word Muni. Because Sthitada Muni means that's different actually. That is basically a devotee who is basically sincere in his efforts just to please Krishna. So Prabhupada didn't have any ulterior motives why he had to write all these books. Generally people write books to become famous or to, of course, some people can also write books, for the genuine sharing of knowledge. But that is very rare to see, where there is no motivation at all. There is no personal motivation at all. So you can see Prabhupada being a pure devotee of Krishna, he glorifies Krishna on every page of this Bhagavad Gita. And he has kept himself as a humble servant. That's why, Prabhupada named the organization as ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, because he wanted to put Krishna in the center. He wanted to put Krishna as the visible, manifestation of the organization, not promote himself actually. He never wanted to promote himself, considering himself to be a humble servant of the Supreme Lord. So that's why this translation is very, very rare, because they have sacrificed so much in their lives. They have actually sacrificed, in the sense the whole life of Srila Prabhupada was actually a preparation. And he prepared his whole life to basically, at the right moment, he was able to, give all these books and then spread this message of Krishna consciousness throughout the whole world actually. So we want to thank all the our Guru Janas and the previous Acharyas. And why it's not coming through? You have to fix it. So we have these set of prayers to basically show our gratitude and respects to our Guru Varga and to our whole path. Everybody knows these prayers? Or, okay, you know all these prayers. Okay, we can recite it together. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavansya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitascha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vacha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today we will go over some practical steps, practical tools to basically enhance our life. Of course, many of you are already doing this, right? Since the new year is coming, Shyam Jagannath Prabhu was asking, can you speak something that we can actually apply in our lives on a day-to-day basis that can actually enhance our lives. Of course, some of the methodologies that we'll talk about, you're already doing some of those things. For example, what am I thinking about?
ABCD.
Right. Yeah, one of the things, is, you can explain what ABCD means. Yes,
A means association, B means books, reading books, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and other scriptures. And C is chanting the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. D means diet, so everybody should follow the sattvic diet so that it will enhance our conscious levels. It will help us in practicing our spirituality. And E is engaging in the service.
All right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Let's give a round of applause. Very nice. Yeah, A stands for association, which is very, very important. As Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Koi. Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoi. Just Lava Matra. You know what Lava Matra means? Yeah, just a moment actually. Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoi. So even a moment's association with the pure devotee of the Lord actually can give us all perfection that we are looking for. So association is really powerful. Of course, we will talk about some of these steps here. These are very, very important steps. These are the fundamentals of Krishna consciousness, like association, chanting, reading of the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. These are all the fundamental steps. These are not optional, but these are the fundamental steps. Actually, even though one may think, okay, these are just the fundamental steps, where are the higher, set of steps? No, this is the highest set of steps as well. Because in Krishna consciousness, the goals and the means are one and the same. Which means that, the way to progress is chanting of the holy name. And after we progress, we will continue to chant the holy name of the Lord. But in a pure, which is called a Shuddha Naam, we will be chanting the pure holy name. So the goal and the means are one and the same in Krishna consciousness. So these fundamental steps also will become the goals where we actually read Srimad Bhagavatam, read Bhagavad Gita, and relish it with much more devotion. So we'll touch upon some of these steps. So the first one we'll talk about is chant. So deliberately take time to chant daily with attention. How many of you join the morning chanting call? Okay, some of you here. That's good. How many of you chant on a day, every day? that's wonderful. Very nice. So, so deliberately take time to chant daily with attention, as this is the best way to purify the heart and come in contact with Krishna and attain all good qualities. Of course, this is the Yuga Dharma. So there are basically, each Yuga has a certain prescribed means by which one can actually attain to perfection or self-realization and God realization. And this Yuga, Kali Yuga, the prescribed means is the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. There's a beautiful verse which in the Padma Purana, Nama Chintamani Krishna, Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha, Purna Shuddho, Nitya Mukto, Abhinatvam Namanamino. So it's a very beautiful verse. Nama Chintamani Krishna. You know, it's this holy name of Krishna, it's called as a living name. The holy name of Krishna is not different than Krishna. It's one and the same. Like when you go to the temple and you see the Archa Vigraha or the Murti of the Lord, you know, that form of the Lord, the Lord is present in that form of the Lord. A pure devotee will be able to see, you know, according to our disposition, Krishna reciprocates accordingly. If an atheist goes to the temple, what will he see? Yeah, he will just see some, that's, you know, like a stone, like a statue, right? But then when a pure devotee goes and sees the Lord in his Archa Vigraha, then he sees Krishna is right there. Similarly, Krishna is there in the holy name as well. So Krishna is present in the holy name. So when we are chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, then what is that we are doing? We are actually allowing Krishna to be present, or Prabhupada says, when you chant Hare Krishna, then Radha and Krishna are dancing on your tongue. So we are allowing Krishna to enter into our mind and hearts. That's what we are, you know, we are associating with Krishna directly by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. It's like a hotline to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You know, you have the hotline to the, sometimes the country, the Prime Minister or the President of one of the countries have hotline, right, to each other. So similarly, this is like a hotline to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And and of course, deliberately take time. That's very important actually, that we take a certain amount of time, whatever is convenient for us, to actually spend and focus on the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And it's very also important to chant with attention, right? To chant with attention. In fact, if you think about it, everything that we have is actually given to us by Krishna, right? When you are born, you know, the material nature actually awards us a body, right? And then as you are growing, awards us a particular environment we grow up in. And then of course Krishna is giving us the whole material nature to, you know, which is habitable actually, you know. And then Krishna says in the 15th chapter that how is maintaining everyone in this world. He says, Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva. He says, I become the digestive fire. And I become the air or the prana which is circulating within the body, which is basically helps in the digestion. Then I become that actually, to help in the process of digestion. Then Krishna says that I become the splendor of the sun. And then he says, I become the cool rays of the moon, which actually supplies juice to the vegetables. And then he says, I give everybody, sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto matas smritir jnanam apohanam cha. I give everyone knowledge, remembrance and forgetfulness. So, we can see that Krishna is actually maintaining us. And so, you know, he's giving us this body, you know, he is giving us the power of digestion. In fact, so many functions of the body that happens even without our awareness. So who's controlling all those things? Krishna is controlling all those things. I mean, are you aware of your digestion? No. Are you aware of your blood flow? No, this is, I eat and then somehow energy comes, right? I don't even know what's going on in the body. I'm not even aware about it. So who's doing all these things for us? So for us to even live, and who's giving the air, and unconsciously we are breathing, right? It's not that I become conscious. Oh, I forgot to breathe. Now I have to breathe now. No, the body is breathing unconscious. All these things are going on without even our awareness. So who's helping us in all these things? Who's created the material elements, which is earth, water. Water is so much required for livelihood. Who's given us that? Food, seeds, nature, sun, moon, everything. All these things are required for livelihood. And who's giving us all these things? It's Krishna. Who's giving us all these things? And that's why. So Krishna is maintaining us. In fact, one of the symptoms of surrender is Goptritve Varnatata, to understand that Krishna is actually the maintainer. I mean, we think that Safeway, the paycheck is maintaining me. The groceries in Safeway is maintaining me, and so on and so forth. But actually, without the will of Krishna, without Krishna's favor and help, all we are doing is mixing things. So Krishna gives the seed. It's a marvel actually what a seed contains, right? In a small seed, a big, there is a potential for a huge banyan tree or a huge tree or redwood forest. You can see huge trees. So in a small seed, there's this potential for a huge tree. Now, who has created that seed actually? It's not human beings. No, Krishna is giving us those seeds. Krishna is giving us the soil. Krishna is giving us natural fertilizers, right? Of course, human beings, they think that they can become too smart and they create artificial fertilizers, and then they totally destroy the whole ecosystem. The environment, health, everything is basically destroyed because of greed, because of the consciousness behind why we do certain things, right? So if the consciousness is for profit motive and greed, then everything gets corrupted actually. But when Krishna gives, he gives, he arranges such a beautiful system, right? I mean, think about it, the world is filled with 70% water, right? But most of it you cannot consume because it's all salt water. But then there is a whole mechanism where that salt water is evaporated, and then the water is carried in the form of a cloud, not the IT cloud, but rain cloud, and then it goes and then it rains, and then one gets actually the pure water which one can consume. So Krishna is actually maintaining us in so many different ways. So if you look around, it's all just miracle after miracle how Krishna is actually maintaining us. Now, what can we give to him? What can we give to what do we have that we can give it to Krishna? Give to Krishna. Our love, our sincerity. Okay. Somebody said everything. Okay, that's good. That's good as well. Our body. Yeah, we can certainly give. Our body. Use our body in the service of Krishna. But then, who has given us the body in the first place? It's Krishna. The body doesn't belong to us. All the possessions that we have in this world doesn't belong to us. Even the people that we are with, it's all been loaned to us. We are not the proprietor of neither the possessions nor the people that we live with. Right? Krishna has given us all these things on a lease. Krishna has given us all these things temporarily, actually. So what can we give back? I mean, there's nothing that I have. Is there anything that I have that I can give back to Krishna? It's like, yes, absolutely. You can certainly serve Krishna with the body, mind and words. But body is given by Krishna, mind is given by Krishna. Again, the material nature working under the direction of Krishna. And then of course the ability of speech also comes, from the Supreme Lord actually. Everything, it's coming from the Supreme Lord. It's like taking, what can we offer Ganges? You take a little bit of water and offer it back to Ganges. Yes. So Krishna has given us all these things so we can use them in the service of Krishna, right? That is, you're engaging in the service of the Lord using the body, mind, and words. And of course, that is what chanting helps us to do as well. We are using the body, we are using the mind to focus, and we are also using the words to chant the holy name of the Lord. And we are, of course, body means we are using the multiple senses. We are chanting and also hearing at the same time. So body, mind, and words, we are using it while chanting in the service of the Lord. But there is one more thing that we have. That is actually, of course, we ourselves belong to Krishna only. But one thing that we have is our attention. So that we can offer to Krishna. So when they do a yajna, right? They pour, like, there is fire actually burning, and then they pour the ghee into the fire actually, which is ahavuti, right? And then that, is part of the process of yajna. So similarly, when we chant the holy name of the Lord, and when we offer the ghee of attention into the fire of the holy name, then that becomes a yajna. So, in fact, Krishna says, the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yajnana Japa Yajyosmi. So, in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is mentioning all the prominent things that you can see in this world of how one can actually perceive Krishna even in this world. For example, he says, of all the immovable things I am, anybody know? Of all the immovable things I am,
The
Himalayas. Stavarana, Himalaya. So for all the immovable things, I'm Himalaya. So because it's a prominent thing. Then he says, of all the aquatics, I am
The whale.
shark.
Shark.
Yeah. Sorry, what did he say? Constant of immovable things you're saying? Okay, that's a good answer. But Krishna says it's Himalayas, because Himalayas is so steady and it's constant. And like that, Krishna is of all the Adityas, I am Vishnu. So Krishna is of all the Pandavas, he says,
I'm Arjuna.
I am Arjuna. So the best of the category, whatever is the wielder of the weapons, I am Rama. So the best of the category, Krishna says, that represents his potency, his opulences basically. And then at the end of the 10th chapter, Krishna says, what need there is, Arjuna. All these glorious and splendorous creation comes from a spark of my splendor. That's what Krishna ends. That's how Krishna ends that chapter. So in that chapter, Krishna says, Yajnana Japa Yajyosmi. So all the sacrifices, what is the topmost sacrifice? Japa. Is chanting of the holy names of the Lord. That is the topmost sacrifice, and that is what is also the Yuga Dharma for this age. So there is the Kalisantara Upanishad, there is a conversation between Brahma and Narada. So Narada is asking, what is the easiest means to negate the effects of Kali Yuga? Then Lord Brahma says, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Iti Sodashakam Namna Kali Kalmashanashanam. Remember the verse, do you know?
Kali Kalmashanashanam. Nata Parataram Nanya.
Anyway, so Lord Brahma is saying that he repeats the whole mantra and he says, Iti Sodashakam Namam, this 16 verse, 32 syllable mantra, Kali Kalmashanashanam. This is the best way how it negates the effects of Kali Yuga. And then he says, even if you search throughout the Vedas, you won't find a method which is more sublime than this chanting of the Hare Krishna. Yeah, so that is the power of chanting the holy names of the Lord. It gets us direct contact with Krishna, and it awakens our spiritual life. So very important to chant every day. And also there's a quality to chanting. So when we chant, let's try to chant with attention. So should we try? Okay, let's try a few times. Let's try to, you can sit comfortably You can either close or open your eyes according to your comfort. So what we will try to do is the mind with the mantra with the mind. So Krishna says, in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, so when we start to do this mantra meditation, start to chant, you think mind will be quiet?
No.
What do you think the mind will, how will it react? Yeah, the mind is going to wander everywhere actually, because that is the nature of the mind. In fact, let me pull up that verse. So this is what Krishna says in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Anybody wants to read this translation?
From wherever the mind wanders, due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. Bhagavad Gita 6.26.
Yeah. So Krishna doesn't say if the mind wanders. So it's a given actually. As long as the mind is not trained, the mind will wander. So it's to be expected. The mind will wander, and it will take a good amount of practice. It will take a good amount of time to bring the mind under one's control. So you should expect the mind to wander. The moment we sit, and until then the mind will be very quiet. But the moment I sit down to want to do something with the mind, then the mind will try to escape and go here and there and wander. So as we are chanting, the mind, it's expected that the mind will wander. So what do?
Bring it back.
Bring it back under the control of the self and try to hear the mantra. Try to be present with the mantra. Try to hear the mantra. That is what we will try to do. So let's chant for a few times and then we can try to practice this. So we'll chant together the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and then you can try to focus our attention on hearing the mantra, on being present with the mantra, with the understanding that Krishna is there in the holy name. So let's try that. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Yeah, I like your enthusiasm for chanting. And it's good, as I was chanting, I was thinking, maybe it's better, is it, which is better, chanting the holy names or hearing my lecture? I think chanting the holy names is certainly better. Anyway, I really appreciate your enthusiasm in chanting, and that's how it should be. That, when we chant, so when we chant, because I'm sure all of you have bead bags, and then you're chanting, and you do a prescribed number of rounds as you're chanting, or if you're doing for a certain amount of time, it's recommended to do a prescribed number of rounds. One should feel the quality of our chanting should be, it should be, at least our aspirations should be in such a way that when I'm, finished with the number of rounds that I have taken a vow for, I should feel bad when that many rounds, number of rounds is done actually. Right? So sometimes we feel that, today, I have committed to doing 4 rounds every day. Now I'm done with the 4 rounds. Which means that, we are still not connected to Krishna through the holy names. We are not still perceiving Krishna through the chanting the holy names of the Lord. So which means that we have to practice more. We have to chant. Try to chant. It's a prayer. We are begging Krishna for His mercy. We are begging Krishna for to lift us up, to give, His shelter. It's actually a prayer to Srimati Radharani and Krishna. So, the quality of chanting should be that when we stop chanting, we should feel, today, it got over so fast. I wish I can chant more rounds. But unfortunately, I have a meeting, I have to attend to. So, if that is our feeling, which means that our quality of chanting is also improving, and we are actually taking shelter of Krishna. And we are actually perceiving Krishna through His holy name. So that is, so if we can, cultivate our chanting to that level of quality, then we will never want to stop chanting. We always want to continue chanting because we are, we are experiencing the shelter of Krishna through chanting the holy names of the Lord. Anyway, so that is the first. Anyway, I just wanted to quickly. This is a beautiful verse from Shastakam, which talks about the 7 effects of chanting of the holy names of the Lord. What time do I have?
Maybe 6:40.
6:40. Okay. So some of the effects of the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. This is what happens. Cheto darpanam. You can repeat after me. Cheto darpanam arjanam.
Cheto darpanam arjanam.
Which means that it cleanses the mirror of the heart and mind. The mind is filled with so much of dirt. The heart is filled with so much of dirt because of our past conditionings. Because of the conditioning of the mind, because of the conditions we were living in, and due to which there were conditionings that happened. So all these things, unfortunately, doesn't reflect our true eternal self. It doesn't reflect the true conscious self, but it reflects a distorted image of our real self. So, what is the first effect of the chanting of the holy name? It does. It actually cleanses the mirror of the heart and mind. And then Bhavamaha Davagni Nirvapanam extinguishes the forest fire of material existence. Right? Have you been in a forest fire? The Bhagavad Gita or the Vedic text actually treats the material world to be like a forest, but whenever there is a forest, the fire can start anytime, right? So the material world is like a forest where there's so many fires that's going on all the time, right? The material existence, you can compare it. The Vedic text actually compares it either to a rough ocean, the material world to a rough ocean, or it compares it to a forest where fire can happen anytime. Like how there can be a sudden production issue, and then you are immediately intimated on the pager, right? And then the pager starts screaming. And that is the one sound, we don't want to hear actually, especially when we are sleeping in the night or when we are relaxing and so on and so forth. And suddenly, if you are sleeping or if you're just relaxing, we completely get up and panic, and then we go and check what's happening and so on and so forth. So, similarly, the material world, it's filled with perplexities. It's filled with problems. If one day goes fine, then every day will go fine like that? No, the problem is right around the corner. So there are going to be perplexities in life. And so the chanting, the second effect of the chanting of the holy name is it extinguishes the forest fire of material existence. And then it goes on, so many effects actually. It increases the ocean of bliss. It enables one to taste nectar at every step. It spreads auspiciousness, Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitarnam. Spreads auspiciousness by its soothing rays. How many of you want your life to be auspicious or covered by auspiciousness? Yeah, we all want auspiciousness in our life. And the chanting of the holy names gives us that auspiciousness. And then the life, Vidyavadu Jivanam. It also awakens spiritual knowledge within our heart. It also gives us realizations. Whatever we read, theoretical knowledge becomes realized knowledge when we chant the holy names of the Lord. And Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam increases the ocean of bliss. Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadhanam enables one to taste the nectar at every step. Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. This is the verse that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaks. The first verse of Sikshashtakam. So point number 1 was chant. Yeah, chant with attention. Yes, thank you. Chant with attention. Second point is read Srila Prabhupada's books. Read these transcendental literatures actually, which is basically, the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Of course, so read these books every day, because we get association of Krishna, because these are Krishna's words, and Krishna's sound is non-different than him. Similarly, Krishna's words are also non-different than him. So when we read, then we are coming directly in contact with Krishna through his words. And of course, it also equips our intelligence. In fact, Krishna says in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, how actually to conquer the enemies that resides in one's heart and mind. There are so many enemies, right? Like Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, like that. Ityadi, so many kinds of enemies are there, which are the enemies of the soul. How to conquer that? So Krishna gives 2 things actually. The 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, thus knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind and intelligence, O mighty and Arjuna, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence. One should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence. No, how will we get spiritual intelligence? Yeah. The way we actually get, so 2 things Krishna says here. So we can actually steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence and by spiritual strength. 2 things Krishna says, and then conquer the insatiable enemy known as lust, Kama, Krodha, Ityadi. So, 2 things that Krishna says, what are those? Deliberate spiritual intelligence and then spiritual strength. Those are the 2 things we need to basically overcome all these enemies of the soul. Now, how we can equip ourselves with spiritual intelligence? We can equip ourselves with deliberate spiritual intelligence when we read these books carefully. when we read, even if it's just one page, means I think Mataji had put a marker here, probably she is reading this particular chapter, but when we actually, even if we spend 5 minutes, even if we read one purport, even if we read one verse, if we deliberate on it, that equips, that spiritualizes our intelligence. Right now our intelligence is only filled with material knowledge. So it's not spiritual intelligence. Right now our intelligence is material. It basically knows, okay, how to fix this bug, how to solve, this particular problem, how to solve, the car has broken down, how to solve that problem. These are all intelligence used in material affairs. But then, if we don't equip the intelligence with spiritual knowledge, then how will the intelligence guide us on the spiritual path? So we have to equip our intelligence with spiritual knowledge by reading these books, even if it's for a short, small time, or even if it's for a short amount of time. Then our intelligence becomes equipped and then can lead us on the path of spiritual journey, can guide us on the path of spiritual journey. So read Srila Prabhupada's books and have direct association with him. Then another verse, you can repeat after me. Krishne Swadamo Bhagate Dharma Jnanadi Visaha Khalau Nashtadrishamesha Puranarko Dinoditaha. Can somebody read the translation?
This Bhagavad Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana.
Correct. So the Bhagavad Purana, Bhagavatam, which also includes the Bhagavad Gita as well. But the Bhagavad Purana has appeared just after Lord Krishna, at the end of the Dwapara Yuga, he actually, accompanied by religion, knowledge, all these good qualities, he actually went back to, the spiritual realm, right? But then, in the place of Krishna, what has appeared? The Bhagavad Purana. All the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam has appeared in the place of Krishna. For who they have appeared?
Who lost their vision due to Kali Yuga.
Yeah, for all of us. So the Bhagavatam, all these great texts, the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam has appeared in Krishna's place. It's not different than Krishna. It has appeared in Krishna's place, and for what they have appeared actually to guide us, to illuminate our lives with spiritual knowledge, and to guide us on the path back to basically to Godhead, to basically take us to the spiritual perfection. So we have to take advantage, because the Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita, all these texts have appeared for our benefit. So we have to take advantage of it by reading them. Even if it means, you just turn and read one page, still, if you, of course, that is the famous mantra, right? The famous mantra in the Bay Area is, Prabhupada says this, he says in a comical way, he says, I say chant, 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 and then people come back and say, can't. Right? And generally the reason people give is, I have no time. And of course, yeah, that's true to some extent, because it's such a hectic life, in the Bay Area, driving on 101 and going to office and coming back, taking care of the kids. So many responsibilities are there actually. It's a very, very hectic life. But then, even if we are able to spend few minutes every day by reading these texts, even if it's just one verse, then it creates a huge impact in our life. It's like, how drops, what is that? Drops
a day,
wears the stone away. So even if it's just a little drop, but then drops a day, wears the stone away. So similarly, even if it's a small, small amount of reading, even if it's just one verse, then drops a day, it wears the stone away. Third one is of course reading, and then Chad. So we have this program called Chad at ISKCON of Silicon Valley in our temple, which is basically chant at least one chapter of the Bhagavad Gita a day. Just the translations, either English or Sanskrit. Either English or Sanskrit. Do you want to try a few verses? Okay, let's try. What is the point of just theory, right? We have to practice as well, right? So right now we are doing, okay, let's do chapter 7. Do you want to do English or Sanskrit? English. Okay, let's do 5 verses. Let's do
Control plus 2.
Yeah.
Zoom.
Let's do first 5 verses. Okay? Yeah, go ahead.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Now hear, O son of Parth, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt.
Next one.
I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, altogether these 8 constitute my separated material energies. Besides these, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mine, which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature."
Yeah. So, I mean, this is just a sample of what, basically you do a chapter a day. If a chapter has many verses, then you split that into 2. So you do every day around 20 to 30 verses every day. How much time did it take for you to read those 5 verses? 1 minute. And so how much time will it take for us to read 20 to 30 verses? Maybe 5 to 6 minutes. That's all. And you completed you read one whole chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So it's so we can actually, even if that's what I'm saying. So it doesn't take a lot. It's just that the mind actually thinks, oh, now you have to sit with the Bhagavad Gita, and then it creates this whole, big, as if, it's going to take forever, or it's going to take so many hours, and so on and so forth. No. If we want to do Chad, which is called chapter a day. Chad means chapter a day. So it just takes few minutes. And, if you think that you cannot spend more than a few minutes, you can read like 20 verses every day. And so right now, I think that in the Chad program, I think the temple, they are actually doing the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita for the first 22 verses. 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, first 22 verses, because 10th chapter has, I think, 42 or 43 verses. So they have divided that chapter into half, and then they are doing for this whole month, they are reading chapter a day, the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So it just takes a few minutes to basically read few verses, and then what happens is, as we keep doing it, as a drop every day wears the stone away, as we keep doing this, automatically all these things are registering in our mind and intelligence, and slowly we'll be able to understand, and then we'll be able to go deeper into the understanding of the Bhagavad Gita. And especially if you do it in the morning, and then if you do it with full attention, all these verses, you may be typing your program in Java, and suddenly, one verse will come into your mind. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. Even these computers, everything is coming, all these material elements, even this computer is made of all these material elements, they're all coming from Krishna. So you'll be able to connect, as you're going through the day, because you have read those Bhagavad Gita verses and you've been doing that for some time, all those verses will come alive at different times of the day. And then finally, as we keep doing it for many, many years, all these things will become absorbed in our consciousness. And then we'll become fully conscious of Krishna and Krishna's instructions, like that. Okay. Now, 4th one is worship. Regulate your worship daily by offering something to Krishna with love. Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, or by bowing down. Like how our Sham Jagannath Prabhu and Sham Kumari Mataji have very nicely set up an altar. So you know they have deities, they have pictures, and then they have very nicely set up an altar where they actually perform some puja, some archana. And then whatever they cook, they offer it to Krishna. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati Tadaham Bhakti Upahritam Ashnami Pratatmanaha. So he says, if one offers me with love, the main ingredients is love and devotion. And the items can be as simple as it can be a leaf, like a tulasi leaf. It can be water, it can be fruit, it can be a flower. Then Krishna says, I will accept it. One offers with love and devotion. So we can also set up, it doesn't have to be so, such, Sham Jagannath Prabhu has such a wonderful altar. Of course, he's experienced and, he's experienced and wonderful devotee. But we can have a very simple altar as well. We can have a simple altar, a picture of Radha and Krishna. Sham Jagannath Prabhu can give you some pictures. And then you just, whatever you are cooking every day, and whatever you can offer, of course, the cooking has to be done in the mode of goodness without onion, garlic, no meat, eggs, and so on and so forth. Then the food can be offered to Krishna, and it can be, and we can also give you what prayers to say, and all these things can be practically done. And if you have some flowers, you can offer those flowers to Krishna. This is actually the way to basically acknowledge that what Krishna is doing in our life, and being grateful to him and appreciating, the presence of Krishna in our lives. And prasadam is so powerful actually, sanctified food, because the Prabhupada says in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita that, ahara shuddhi, he basically says a set of verses actually, set of effects that happens, basically when everything, because food, diet, A, B, C, D, E. D stands for diet. It's very, very important because we are what we eat. It's very, very important actually. Because what we eat, that actually affects our mind in certain ways. The quality of that food that we eat actually affects our mind in certain ways. That's why all of you, and I'm sure when you're in college, when you're working and so on and so forth, if you're staying outside the home, and then you're eating a hostel food, hotel food, and all those things, and you come back home, then what do you say? Nothing like home cooked food. Why? Because there is a quality to that food. When you eat outside, there is a quality to that food because that guy is trying to make money, and then he is basically cutting short on everything. How can I? And then the chef or the guy who's cooking, he is probably and he doesn't care. He is probably in a terrible mood, he had a fight with his owner or something like that, and then he's showing all his anger on the food, and he's cooking with that emotion. Then all those emotions, according to the yogic principles, it will go into the food, especially the grains. So that's why there's a quality of difference between outside food and home cooked food, because home cooked food means when your mom, when somebody who loves you cooks, then it has a different quality to it. So here Krishna is saying that not only should we try to cook at home because it's a much purer environment, but we should also offer it to Krishna. Then it becomes prasad, becomes spiritualized, and that has a spiritually awakening effect on us. Because when you eat prasadam, it has a spiritually awakening effect on us. And then for point number 5, which is say at least one prayer daily besides the Maha Mantra. Of course, I also have to practice this. Of course, there are many prayers actually. Throughout the Shastra, there are so many different prayers. But find some verses, which is prayers of great souls like Prahlad Maharaj, Kunti Maharani. Bhagavatam has all these different kinds of prayers. Bhishma's prayers, Gajendra's prayers, Dhruva Maharaj's prayers. All these different prayers are there. So if you can memorize all these different prayers, then you can actually recite it every day. Here is a nice prayer that our teacher, Vaisheshika Prabhu, told in a class. Can somebody read the translation? It's a very, very nice prayer. So he said that he actually recites this prayer every day, before he goes to bed.
He started even before he became Krishna conscious.
Krishna conscious.
Like, formal.
Right. So it's a very, very beautiful prayer. Maybe, I'm planning to include that in my schedule actually, to read this particular prayer. I really love this prayer. You can read.
O my Lord, as powerful as fire, O omnipotent one, now I offer you all obeisances, falling on the ground at your feet. O my Lord, please lead me on the right path to reach you. And since you know all that I have done in the past, please free me from the reactions to my past sins so that there will be no hindrance to my progress.
Right. Such a beautiful prayer. So you can select some verses and you can recite as prayers, and then you can make it as part of your daily routine. Yeah, point number 6 is write down your realizations, thoughts every day or regularly, and this helps with clarity. So write down your realizations. As you are going on this spiritual path, you may have a lot of realizations. You may like a verse from the Bhagavad Gita, because it's very practical, and how I can relate to this verse. How I can relate to this verse. How can I apply this? So you can actually write down your own realization, because that will solidify your understanding. That will solidify your understanding, and that will help you clarify your own understanding. So writing is a very powerful medium by which we can do. The other one you can do is contribute and share. So when we actually write and when we have deep realizations about some of the concepts that are explained in the Bhagavad Gita, one thing you can try to doing is you can as you are having some dialogue with your colleagues, then you can just share your realization. If there is a related conversation that's going on, people are saying, oh, I was very upset yesterday, and then you ask them, why very upset? Because India lost the finals. I mean, that happened, right? Really? Yeah, India did lose the finals. And then you can say, oh yeah, I understand that. Of course, that is how the nature of the material world. Then you can immediately start speaking. This is the nature of the material world. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and then when you win, you become very happy, thinking that this is going to last. This win is going to last forever. And when you lose, then you become very sad actually. And that is because it's duality. It's a world of duality. Like that, you can start basically sharing the message of Bhagavad Gita with others, and then they may ask, what is your name again? Vivek. Oh, Vivek. How come you developed such viveka? Where have you gotten, suddenly, wow, you're telling some wise words. Okay, tell us more, what have you been reading, like that they may ask more questions, and then you can share more actually. Yeah, I've been going to a Bhagavad Gita class in Fremont. We have a wonderful teacher, his name is Shyam Jagannath Prabhu. And then you can say, oh, that's great. And then, you can continue the conversation like that. And then how you can contribute and share. And then sometimes they may ask, then you can ask, do you have a copy of Bhagavad Gita? Oh, I can share with you a copy of Bhagavad Gita. These are the verses I'm reading right now. These are my realizations. You can share like that. And then you can say, you're also in Fremont? Okay, come on to the program. You can invite your friends to the program so that they can also get benefited. And why do we do all these things like contribution and sharing? The reason, of course, there are many reasons. One is because everybody is suffering in this material world. Everybody is looking for relief. But then all the so-called things that solutions that people have in this world, it only gives some patch-up work. It never gives you true relief, right? People actually nowadays, you have the phone, right? People feel very, people are in a lot of problems. What do? They just turn on the TV and then they want to escape all the problems, or they basically, it's called as now what is it? Doom scrolling, yeah. And then they just want to forget everything in life, and then they just want to keep scrolling actually, because they want to escape the boredom, or they want to escape the pain, they want to escape. So many, there are so many complications in life. And unfortunately, people don't know how to get relief from all these different complications. So, but the true relief for all these different complexities and complications is like coming from the spiritual platform. From the spiritual path, the true relief comes only from the spiritual path. So, what does Krishna say? Krishna says, there is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. Who? Who explains the supreme secret to the devotees. So one who actually shares this message of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, that person is very, very dear to me. So, how many of you want to become favorite of Krishna? Yeah, we all want to be favorite of Krishna. Then we can, one of the best ways we can actually get Krishna's favor is by doing some service for him. One of the best service we can do, there are many good causes in this world, but there's only one great cause. That is actually by sharing this wisdom of Bhagavad Gita. So actually, of course, this is the holiday season. Sham Jagannath Prabhu. So we have a program in the temple. What is the program in the temple? We want to distribute as many Bhagavad Gitas, because this is also the month of Gita Jayanti, where Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Actually, that was the Ekadashi that came in the beginning of the month. That was Gita Jayanti as well. The same day was Gita celebrated as Gita Jayanti. So one of the best ways we can actually serve Krishna is by sharing this knowledge and also giving people access to Bhagavad Gita, giving them a copy of Bhagavad Gita. And if you want to take some Bhagavad Gitas, so the temple has this program where you can take some copies of Gita and distribute to your friends and give them as a gift to your friends actually. So if you want to do that, it will be a great service. Because why? Because people are looking for solutions. How can I get relief from this, fire of material existence? How can I get this relief? That is only solved by spiritual knowledge, and that spiritual knowledge is there in the Bhagavad Gita. So try to share this knowledge with others. Try to share give a copy of Bhagavad Gita to others. Give them a gift. It will be a great service, and Krishna will be very pleased with all of us. So I'll maybe one more point and then I'll stop. And then, yeah. So practice. There are a few more points, but I'll conclude with this point, practice. So engaging in discipline daily. And that leads to self-improvement. And that leads to basically, discipline leads to discipline. And nothing is going to come easy. We have to practice. And in fact, there is a famous verse from the Bhagavad Gita where Arjuna is saying, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati bhalavadhritam tasyaham nigraham mani vayu revasha dushkaram. Anybody wants to read the translation?
The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate and very strong, O Krishna. And to subdue it, I think it is more difficult than controlling the wind.
Yeah. So Arjuna is saying to Krishna, the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate. I'm sure all of you have experienced the symptoms of the mind. And to subdue it is more difficult than controlling the wind. Very similar to the previous verse we saw about the mind. And then what does Lord Krishna reply?
Lord Krishna said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possibly by suitable practice and by detachment.
Yeah. So what does Krishna? Two things he says here. What does he say? Asamshayam mahabaho manodudnigraham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagena chakriyate. So two things he says are practice and detachment. So practice is very, very important actually. Yeah, practice is very, very important. And as we talked about it, even during the chanting process, so because the mind is actually very unsteady and flickering, it wanders here and there. But by practice, by practicing again and again and again and again and again, then one will be able to slowly bring the mind under one's control, and one will be able to completely focus the chanting of the holy names, which is the most effective chanting. Attentive chanting is the most effective chanting because we get direct access to Krishna's grace when we chant attentively. And so that is possible only by practice. It's not going to come overnight, but it's going to come by practice. In fact, there's a famous quote which says that if this is with regards to practicing, I think the author was, is a practitioner of violin. And he says, if I don't practice one day, then I notice it. If I don't practice it for 2 days, my teacher notices it. If I don't practice it for 3 days, the world notices it. So practice is, practice leads to perfection. So one has to practice. And like any other thing in the material world, to learn a language or to learn an instrument, you need to practice, and practice makes things perfect. So similarly, even in the spiritual path also, and especially the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, we need practice. Practice on a daily basis. Anyway, those are some thoughts that you can, we can all, actually including myself, we can all ruminate on this, think about this and see what we want to take into the new year, just 2026. Any comments, questions, reflections? Do you remember how many points did we cover? 8. Do you remember some of those points? Chant. Read. Yes. Read books. Chant. Yes. Very nice. Chapter a day. Fourth is worship or archana. Yes. I know, offer basically. Offering, yeah. Fifth is prayer. Okay. Shamjagana, you are not counting. You cannot reveal the answer. Sixth is writing. Yes, reflections. Because that solidifies our understanding and clarifies, the thought process itself. Seventh is contribute and share. And, contribute and share basically. Contribution means this is seva. How can we serve Krishna, right? I mean, generally our tendency is to, we have at least before coming to Krishna consciousness, we have a big list actually of our needs and desires, and we go before Krishna and then we say, we start our demands actually, or desires, and which is not a bad thing. Krishna says, they are pious people. Krishna Chadur Vida Bhajanti Imam Jana Sukurtina Arjuna Arto Jigyasa Artarte Gyana Chabrata Sabha. He says 4 kinds of pious people come to me actually. So that's not bad at all. But then, we should also ask, Krishna, what can I do to please you? How can I serve you? Right? How can I serve you? How can I please you? It's not that we just keep taking. It's like, the children, they just keep taking from the parents without any acknowledgement, without any expression of gratitude, without any reciprocation. Then the parents will feel like, why are the kids not reciprocating with me? Of course, Krishna is not expecting anything from us, but if we try to understand what does Krishna want me to do? How can I serve him? How can I please him? And that is actually given in the Bhagavad Gita itself. So Krishna is saying all these things in the Bhagavad Gita. So we understand the mind of Krishna and act according to pleasing Krishna, then Krishna will become very pleased. That's why that is a service, the seva we can do for Krishna, the Supreme. And then, what else? Practice. Okay, we covered. Yeah. Any questions, comments, reflections? Any point you like? Any point you dislike?
I like the first and last most. I mean, I like everything, but the
first and last is,
Wonderful.
very important.
Yeah. Chanting and practicing the chanting. Yes. Very nice. Any other points? Anything that you think you'll be able to apply in your life? Everything. Okay, Mataji wants to apply everything in her life. Let's give her a round of applause. Yeah, it's all doable. It's not something that's very complicated. It's all very simple. We just have to plan our days, structure our days in such a way all these things are attainable. These are attainable goals.
When are you coming back next? The other points.
I mean, I think pretty soon.
We will bother discussion. Prabhuji.
Any other points? Yes, Shanti.
For the practice, I noticed a couple of subtle points. Then I was also remembering Vaishesha Prabhu mentioning that he once broke his right hand and they put a cast on his right hand. And then he started writing with his left hand. And he was mentioning how in the beginning he couldn't read what he is writing. But after a week, he was able to start writing, and then after a few weeks, his handwriting with his left hand was as good as his right hand. And he was mentioning with anything in life, with practice we get better. And I think in your slide you have one thing that said, when we do practice of any skill, which we want to develop, any sattvic skill even, like painting, singing, whatever good skills that we want to develop, the discipline that brings into our life, it actually rubs off on other areas of our life as well, where we just practicing and we feel happy and satisfied and we get disciplined in that. That discipline actually helps us in other areas of our life as well. I think you had that comments. I thought I was just reflecting. Practicing skills like that is very helpful in the long term. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yes.
So actually, I was reflecting. Recently, I read the book, the Science of Self-Realization by Prabhupada. I started it 2 years before, but it was most of the context was overhead. But now, after coming to Shyam Prabhu's classes here and getting into association, I was able to understand most of the stuff. And towards the end, I was able to feel the connection with, like I was able to read, understand or get the feeling that this is what is being spoken by Srila Prabhupada. Like I was able to get into that intensity of what he is trying to say, how much devotion he must be having, although I can't feel it, but at least there were some glimpses I can see in that book. But I was just wondering, when will I have that kind of devotion myself for Krishna? I can see that devotion, I can feel that devotion from the angle of Prabhupada, but I don't have that for Krishna. So what I can do to get that devotion?
Yeah, nice question. Well, we just follow the process. Because the results are not in our hands. Ultimately Krishna says, Tesham satadiyuktanam bhajatam pratipurvakam dadami buddhiyogam tam yenamam piyantati. So he says, I give them the intelligence by which they can come to me. And then he says, Tesham yavanakam partha aham ajnanajam tamaha nashayami atma bhavastu jnana deepene bhashvata. So he says, I, destroy, for the devotees who are dedicated, who are practicing, the path of Bhakti Yoga, who are trying to dedicate their lives for me. I actually remove the darkness from their heart, the shining lamp of knowledge. So like that, so the Lord actually has to reciprocate, by giving us the knowledge, by giving us detachment, and you can say it's the fruits of, performance of one's bhakti, but that is up to the Lord's discretion. So we can only show our sincerity by performing, our daily routines of chanting, reading the Bhagavad Gita, and so on and so forth. But when we will have a deep realization about it, when we'll have, the awakening of the bhakti, when we'll have, purification of the heart, all those things are with the Lord's, in Lord's hand. So we show our sincerity by taking one step towards Krishna, then Krishna reciprocates with that sincerity. And that one step towards Krishna is all these following this particular lifestyle, devotee lifestyle. There is chanting, there is hearing, and then there is reading these texts and so on and so forth. So we are showing our sincerity. Krishna, yes, I am interested in you. I want you. I want a relationship. I want to reawaken that lost relationship with you. So we are showing our sincerity, and Krishna reciprocates back. By revealing to us and making all the different arrangements so that we can actually come back to him. So Krishna takes the responsibility for that.
Thank you, Prabhu.
And that is also shown in the Damodar Leela, where Mother Yashoda is trying to tie Krishna or bind Krishna to the grinding mortar, but she is not able to. And so she always comes up, 2 fingers too short. But then finally, after so much she tried so much that Krishna then agrees to be bound. So Mother Yashoda trying to bind Krishna is like our efforts. We are showing our sincerity to Krishna. Then Krishna sees that, this person is really sincere, then he agrees to be bound. He agrees to award us with pure love for God.
Yeah, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Thank you for the wonderful points, Prabhu. I think to implement in our life. Very grateful for that. And I was reflecting on a couple of, meaning the one that you started the class, that yes, as all of it is given by Krishna. And then just as a practical point, we recently went for a hearing test. And then the doctor was explaining that the ear is so complicated. There is an eardrum which produces some vibration, and that vibration goes to the mental nerve somewhere, and then it gets interpreted. And everything is designed automatically. So, it's like everything is beyond our comprehension. And as such, as we were coming into the classes, Shambhu was mentioning that even the ideas are all granted by Krishna. So it's all over. So it's not like by our thinking maybe we can get more polluted and all that. But I think there are few things if you can listen, and then for sure I think those things can be granted properly. So it's all like nothing is ours. The other thing I was reflecting on the prayers, as you were mentioning, that the prayers and then how should we pray is also, we should read the prayers from the great devotees and then and what reflects we can take it. I think that's a great idea to have the right attitude.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Last thing I was thinking on daily discipline, what you were telling today, that yes, self-improvement point is also was there, that we should try that. And on that note, I just watched a short today which was telling about habit building, and they were mentioning that there was a person, he wanted to go to exercise daily but build that habit, but he doesn't want it to so what he did is that he just went there, he didn't do anything, come back, went there, come back, went there. So for some time, like for a week or 2 weeks, he did that once that thing established. And then I think that habit got established. So moving anything with a very easy first step, just doing consistently.
Wonderful. Yeah. Moving anything with an easy first step.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, good to see you. It's been a while, so we request you to come more frequently.
Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice to see you as well.
So one question, Prabhu. Basically, I was reflecting, I'm coming here from last, let's say, couple of years. You are the first guru for me. So basically, you are teaching Shyam Prabhu teaching and other Prabhus, right? So coming here, basically, try to understand, what was being taught, right? And then basically, slowly, the next 1 or 2 weeks, slowly, forgetting that one. I mean, problem with applying that in a daily life, so certain things, it's there, it will be, maybe you might, it's there in your mind, but basically, the problem is applying that on a daily life. So what is the, best way to maybe, as you said, right, practice like this, like for example, especially the person who attended the class, maybe summary they might be able to digest, if you can able to recollect that one compared to, who other people who are not attending the class. So is there a way I can able to look at the summaries of certain topics that are being taught, so that as chart like that, right? So as you look, so maybe one day I can able to apply them in my daily life based on the situations that occur to me. So.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I think you yourself are alluding to the answer for that particular question. That's why we do chat every day. We do it every day so that whenever we need these verses the most, they'll come alive. Because we have put in that effort actually. And we may not be consciously remembering many of the points that we hear, but unconsciously we are registering everything, and that's why the regular association is also required actually. So regular association, and especially the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, that also has to be there actually, because Krishna says, from me comes remembrance, forgetfulness, and knowledge. So at the right time, at the right juncture, as we are actually applying all these different processes, which is chanting, doing the chat, reading of these texts and everything, at the right time, Krishna will give the intelligence, and the realization and the remembrance as well, by which we can actually we will be able to apply it in our life. And many times, it also depends. Some of the concepts we may read, we may not understand it fully. So it will also take some time actually. It's not that immediately, we'll be able to understand or grasp or realize, and we'll be able to apply it. But it will take some time. But as long as we are doing the process, we are in the association of devotees, then slowly, one step by step, we'll be applying different things. And many times we'll be doing it without, even without our own understanding. We may have changed in many different ways actually. So sometimes other people will tell us, you used to get, so agitated, now you look so calm actually. Then we may realize, actually I'm changing because of the process itself is working actually. So sometimes we may not be able to visibly see what's happening, but the process works for sure. Like for example, when a flight takes off, you see that, so many things, beneath you, and so many things all the big buildings, they show up like matchbox and things like that. But then when the flight goes to a certain height, and then it's let's say it's a flight to India, and then so many hours it's just flying. But people may feel that nothing is happening, right? But actually we are covering a lot of distance. So initially when the takeoff happens, then we see that it's covering a lot, a good amount of distance. But then after it reaches a certain height and it's moving for some time, then you don't see anything happening actually. You're just sitting, maybe watching something or sitting glued to the screen and things like that. Not much is happening. But then when the destination comes and suddenly the flight starts descending, then you begin to realize, I have covered, we have covered so much distance. And then you again see all the different the airports and things like that. So similarly, as we are applying this process, as we are continue to progress, in Krishna consciousness, sometimes we may feel that not much is happening, but a lot of distance is getting covered just by applying the process. And then one day you'll be able to realize, oh, I have made so much advancement actually. Even without my awareness, I have made so much of advancement. So we do make advancement as we are applying this process. But we may not realize it immediately, but we'll surely realize it at some point. Is that okay?
Okay, Prabhu. So, I think last week Shyam Prabhu was sharing on, I think, his Bangalore success story, like at Whitefield, right? So how they are basically progressing in a very short period, 2 hours, 2 years, basically, how they are multiplying like that. So I was thinking, so it's been 2 years, basically, where am I like that? So I feel basically I'm still at the very beginning, so just trying to think like, what are the ways I can basically,
do you
apply
chant
more.
every day? Do you chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra every day?
I chant, but basically I stuck at 3, but even that also basically last week, the season change, basically there was a kind of break. So
yeah, I mean, do whatever you can do, do whatever you can do consistently. And as you are coming more and more in the association of devotees, you'll have the determination. It's like in any field, for us to progress in that field, I mean, I can think of 2 examples. One is baby is learning to walk. When it's beginning to walk, the bear, it's very, very unsteady. It's not that the baby gets up and just walks smoothly right away. It's unsteady, it's wobbly, it falls down. So similarly, when we start the spiritual practices also, depending on our own level, many times when we start, we do it very unsteadily, right? We basically start and then we stop, and then again we resume. It's like a baby trying to walk. It falls down, it gets up, it again falls down, it gets up. So that is to be expected. But then as the baby keeps trying and trying and trying and trying, slowly it begins to walk so steadily. And so for us to have that motivation of trying again, and so it's expected that we will falter. It's not that we will become perfect overnight. It's expected that as we are traversing on the spiritual journey, we will falter, we will fall down, we will stumble, and things like that. But then what helps us to keep going in spite of faltering, in spite of inconsistency, and things like that, is association of devotees. So that's why association is the most important ingredient in spiritual life, in spiritual progress. Because everything, all the other shortcomings can be compensated with good association. So what keeps us going? What will keep us going in spite of the shortcomings, unsteadiness, inconsistencies, and everything is association. So as long as we are in association of the devotees, then somebody will remind us. You should chant more, or you should chant, and things like that. And then immediately we'll feel inspired. Okay, yes, I should chant, and then we'll resume chanting. So as long as you're in association and in the good company, then slowly but surely our spiritual life will become successful. Is that okay? Yeah. Thank you.
Very good.
So you said, so sometimes we will be needing to eat outside. So we don't know who have cooked and with what consciousness he has made that food. So if we just take name of God, will it be okay? I mean, will it be good? Take the name of God and then eat at that time. If it is outside, without prasadam, or it's not prasadam. But
yeah, that is so basically. Generally, that is not the standard. So we have to clearly understand what is the standard and where we are at. So, I mean, it's not that the expectation is not that everybody comes to the standard immediately as well. So there is suddenly, Krishna is compassionate. So the standard is that we, cook the food at home and we offer the food, and then we basically, take that sanctified food, which is prasadam. So that is the standard, and even, even within those standards, in a temple, if somebody who is very highly evolved, if a devotee is cooking, then we can partake that. In fact, in the early days when there was nobody, when Prabhupada was alone, actually he used to cook for everybody. But think about the good fortune of all those people actually. Prabhupada, cooks and offers it to Krishna. What level of consciousness that food will be, and then people taking that food. Maybe that's that's one of the key things that actually change their heart, right? It's because it has a huge impact on our consciousness. So the standard is that we basically maintain the purity and then offer it to Krishna and then have it as prasadam. Now there may be many situations in our life where you may be asked to come to you may be asked to go to a restaurant for work meetings, you may go for a team event and things like that. Then some adjustments can be made here and there, due to unavoidable circumstances and so on and so forth. I mean, you can minimize the impact of all those things by eating salad or food which is relatively has less grains and more vegetables, and like soup if you can get without onion, garlic, things like that. So we can make adjustments like that. But what I would say is, see how you are progressing. Like say, okay, we are, 1 year back we used to go to restaurants 2 times a week, right? But then as we started this Krishna conscious process, now actually we are only, after a few months, after a year, now we are only doing it once a month. Now that's progress. So standard is here, but we make step-by-step progress towards that particular standard. So we have to be easy not too easy also, but not too difficult also on ourselves and our family members. So we have to understand the dynamics. Then we have to understand what is my level, where we are at, and what is the next step to go that actually takes me closer to that standard that I am aspiring to go for. So if we make such step-by-step progress, then we'll be able to sustain that change as well. Such incremental progress, we'll be able to sustain that change, and then we'll be able to one day reach that standard also that we want to come to.
Want to share the reflection, Prabhu?
Yeah.
When you were telling that if we understand material nature, like earth, fire, we can connect. Like when we see the laptop, it's made up of that.
It's an element of earth.
Yeah. So knowing the knowledge, it helps. That recently, Shyam Prabhu arranged during Gita Jayanti, like learning the 6 verses of Bhagavad Gita. From the 3rd chapter and the 4th chapter. I never read Bhagavad Gita, only in the movies and then in the radio or this. First time after coming to Shyam Prabhu's class, I started hearing. Of course, I know Bhagavad Gita exists, and 1.5 years back, Prakash Prabhu gave it to me. I never opened. My bad. So recently, in those 6 verses, I got connected to one of the verses like Prakriti Kriya Manani, and I mean, whenever I see that instance, that I feel that, and then I really think that it's my ahankaram is saying that I am the karta aham manyate. So I recollect that. So I think learning the verses, I didn't know earlier in the movies and everywhere they say understanding the Bhagavad Gita and going through that helps for the life. It is really, I miss many of my years, but never late, I feel. And also, that's one, and recently one more.
Wonderful relationship. That's a beauty of the Gita actually. All the verses come alive. All the verses come alive. They don't just remain as theory. We can see, directly perceive, what's Krishna saying and what's happening in this world. We can directly perceive it.
One more reflection on the same lines, Prabhu. In the morning chanting class, with the support from Venu Prabhu and Prashant Prabhu, we also read one verse and read the translation also. In that 11th chapter, I forgot the verse number. Everybody know that when somebody is speaking, we need to devote. We need to give undivided attention to them, right? Interestingly, Krishna says to Arjuna, you should have undivided devotion, then only you achieve. I forgot. It says that. I was surprised and I started feeling that and practicing it in my family when my daughters speak. I focus and listen. That's obviously I should have been doing, but Krishna himself told to this Arjuna that the trait is very important, which I missed, even though I know it. I feel some things which I should have been doing, just started doing it again.
Yeah. Do you remember which verse it is?
11. I forgot. I was looking for that, but I don't know. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Undivided devotion, blah blah, something is there. Yeah.
Hopefully not blah blah. Yeah, undivided attention, I think. Undivided devotional service, I think it's 11:54.
Yes, yeah. So, just for devotional service also, Krishna is saying you should be undivided. Then important relationships, of course, in the material world, like
of course,
family. Yeah.
One of the best ways actually to improve relationship is actually to give undivided attention. At least we can give that. And we have to, the same principle also applies to all the different phases of life. So we can try to practice that even while chanting the holy names of the Lord. We can try to give undivided attention to chanting process, to hearing the holy name. And if we practice it, that practice will help us in all the other areas of life, and including in chanting. And that undivided attention will gradually lead us to undivided devotion. Devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Bhaktya tva ananya sakya. So Krishna says, ananya means without being, there is undivided actually. Aham evo vidarjuna yatum tashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa. Only by undivided devotional service can I understood as I am standing before you. This is the Lord Krishna telling Arjuna. Thus can be seen directly. Yeah, beautiful practice. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Any other points? Or chanting? Yeah, let's try to practice with undivided attention. The chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Stretch. Yes.
Oh, stretch. Yes. You can.
Prabhu recognized me as the master of physical yoga. So we will stretch, try to reach the ceiling. As Prabhu said, we do our best and hopefully Krishna will pick us up. So this side we'll say Nityananda, this side we will do Gauranga. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
Gauranga! Nityananda! 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 Gauranga! Nityananda!